Hi everyone, it's Tim here and welcome back to another one of my teaching videos. This time we're going to unpack the Super Mario theme. Now this, I'm just going to say up front, is not the easiest thing to play, and I'm going to try and provide a couple of different levels and things you can do to simplify it, but ultimately it's a little bit tricky. So let's get into the opening. There's a little 4 bar opening, which just does. That's not the real bit that most people know. Most people know. Now that's something that kids will love to learn. So I think that's probably the most important bit. But if you did want students to learn that opening bit, we just teach them about the chords. So it's a C chord, it's a D flat chord and an E flat chord via F to G. It's just a Phrygian scale, I'm pretty sure it is, with a flat 2, flat 3, 4 and 5. So you could just and then if you want to, and then that sort of ba-da-ba-ba-bum, which everyone knows. So that's actually probably the easiest bit to play, really, those first four lines. So how do we go about teaching this? If we did this by chords, it's not going to work because you really need the chord layout with these two notes at the top. If I just tried to play a D major chord and going to a G, it's not actually going to work. So we do have to teach the students actually how to play this. If this is beyond their reading, but they've got big enough hands that they can play this to a G octave chord, so G, B, G, then I would just teach them this by rote. We've got this position here, F sharp, C and E, and they're playing that, and then they're jumping to here, and then down to G. They could jump down to any kind of G chord, really. In the left hand, we're just moving from D to G. Now again, to simplify, if we wanted to, and students with smaller fingers, single notes in the left hand, D and G, D, G. And the right hand, just take out the F sharp, we could just do this. So what they could actually do is play a C major chord position and play 1 and 3, 1, 3, 5, G. So we'd get this. Sorry. And that is far easier, much more simple to play. Okay, so now we get onto the main theme, this kind of... Now this is like groovy music, this kind of... kind of calypso-y kind of feel. What we really want students to do is be able to feel that. The only way they're going to be able to play this second page and the later on is to be able to get this groove into their hands. This boom, 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 boom. So for a student that was going to learn more of this, I would get them practicing that as something that they're going to need to know how to do, and really to be able to feel this kind of groove. Dun, 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 dun. I can't even click a steady pulse. Boom. So I'm just thinking up an exercise right now on the spot. I would get students, it's in C major, so let's work in C major. C, F, G, C, and I'm just doing root 5 octave, bass note 5th octave, in this kind of calypso pattern. So maybe they could just add chords in the right hand on the beat. Maybe maybe you could just add a little bit of complexity, rhythmic complexity in the right hand as you go each week. Because just building up some rhythmic stamina or ability to kind of manipulate this rhythm between the two hands will be pretty useful later on in the piece. They've really got to be able to get that groove. Now, as for this, let's play it slower. Students, you've got two options here. If you want them to really read the music, I would take a bar like this. We're in 4/4, and we've got quavers or eighth notes that are just unevenly spaced. We've got one on the beat, and then these two are all on off beats. So writing in the metric counting for those and getting them to feel the quaver pulse. Dut, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Where do these beats actually come? Where do the right hand notes align? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1. And then we've got a triplet. So let's get to that in 1 second. So if they can count and play these quavers, the movement of the hands isn't too hard. Now, in the original, it's written octaves, but I don't play that, I'm simplifying. I start with an octave and then just single notes. Even for me, it's too hard to try to go, although I did it right that time, but that'll be tricky for students. So just go single notes, whatever really helps them. So here we've got, I work in similar motion between the hands, just in octaves, 2 octaves apart. I mean, you could do it an octave apart if you wanted to. The music goes, and octaves in the right hand. So officially, this is what's written. So not quite in octaves. We're in kind of a third apart, or a 10th actually. Bum, da-dum, bum, ba-dum, bum. And yeah, that does sound better, but did you notice it when I did the demo, if you saw the separate demo video? Maybe if you know the tune really well. But playing octaves in one hand and single notes and making it a 10th apart and getting it really neat at this speed with this rhythm, super complex for students. So just go single notes, one in each hand. And again, you can go through this and count it slowly with a student, or the other option for all of this is just to demo it yourself and get them to play it in time. If they're familiar with this tune, they're going to know the rhythm anyway. But it is cool to know where actually these beats lie. So it does that twice, and then it goes on to this. So this bit would be one that the student should probably learn through the notes. Consecutive thirds is kind of tricky. Work out with the student what their fingering they're feeling most comfortable with. I'd sort of say 5 and 3, 2 and 4. You could slide down 2 and 4 if you wanted to, or 2, 4, 1, 3, and then 1, 2, 1, 3. Actually, I go to 5 and 3, 2 and 4, 1 and 4, 1 and 2, 1 and 3. You try it out with your students, see what works best. Da 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 dum bum, dum bum. All right, so that's just going to need some separate slow, hands separate work, preferably with some kind of beat or metronome going on before they try and put those two together. That'll be a little bit of a challenge. There's not much of a way of simplifying that except to take out the thirds in the right hand and just play the melody. So, I mean, that sounds pretty good, and that would be a pretty convincing performance, even without the thirds. Then the next little section. getting to that bit again. That's always fun, isn't it? I mean, it's iconic, isn't it? I've never actually played this game, but I know that tune. I think just about everyone in the world probably knows that, which is going to be super fun for students to learn. So that's my take of the first 2 pages. Most of the material, if they can understand the first 2 pages, they could probably play the second 2 pages. And I'm just using a score off Sheet Music Direct, the Sheet Music Pass subscription, but you'll be able to find this online just about anywhere. Just get a proper transcription of this. There'll be lots of free unlicensed ones, I'm sure, out there that are probably much harder to play. This is actually pretty legible, quite readable. Music Notes will also have one, and our Top Music Pro members can of course get a discount on all their their Music Notes and Sheet Music Plus downloads over in our discounts in our academy. So how do you go teaching this to your students? What other tips have you got? Please share them. I love knowing what you're doing out there with your students in your studio to teach songs like this, because students are going to want to know it at some stage probably. So leave a comment below, make sure you hit the bell, subscribe, thumbs up for a like if these videos are helpful for you. I really appreciate it. See you in the next one.